All right, guys, let's go ahead and get started here. Welcome to the North Texas Tableau user group. My name is Joey Ramos. I'm one of your co-leaders of this user group. There's four of us in total, and we'll go ahead and introduce those individuals here in a little bit. Before we get started, I do want to let you know that all this material will be posted out on our Tableau public profile. So you will be able to download the workbook after the meeting, as well as this is being recorded, and we will be publishing that link on our LinkedIn page. If you haven't already done so, please request to become a member of our LinkedIn group. It is the Real North Texas Tableau user group. Just request to become a member, and we're pretty quick to go ahead and accept that request. So yes, this will be posted on our Tableau public profile, the North Texas Tableau user group. And please take the time to go to LinkedIn and join our LinkedIn group, the Real North Texas Tableau user group. All right, so please know this meeting is extremely laid back. If you have a question, please submit it via the chat. We will be monitoring the chat as we go through the presentation. And yeah, let's go ahead and get started.
Yeah, thank you, Joey. First of all, thank you everyone for being here. We're happy to have you guys joining us today. Looking at the agenda, there are some small changes, but I think overall you're going to find this to be a really fun and engaging session. So we're going to start here with where we are now, as with our welcome. We're going to move into our introductions and announcement. As Joey said earlier, that's where you can, we'll be doing introductions of teams so you can understand who your leaders are within this group. And then here are some of the changes that have happened with the agenda. Prior to Joey doing the tip of the month, we're actually going to have Alan speak to you guys. I'm very excited about his topic. I think you guys are going to love his speech. And then unfortunately, Sarah cannot be with us here today. So after Alan, we'll then move into Joey's tip. And then if there's any questions, concerns, anything you'd guys like to chat with, we'll be here for you. Otherwise, the meeting will end after that. With that said, I think this is going to be a good one for you guys, and we can move forward there, Joey.
Awesome. All right. Thank you, Stephen. Yeah. Agenda, going to tweak it a little bit, but it's still going to be a great meeting. And the tip of the month, we may go a little bit longer than 10 minutes. Yeah. All right, let's proceed. So yeah, so we revitalized this user group in January 2018. And that first year it was just myself. And the second year, Tim came along. And now we found it best to have a committee. And so here are the committee members. My name is Joey Ramos. I do consulting 24/7, primarily data transformation and data visualization using Alterax, Tableau Prep, Tableau, and a little Power BI. I don't know if Tim is on the call yet. Tim, yeah, I'm not sure if he's on, but Tim has been, instrumental in running this user group for the last couple of years with me. And I think he's got a meeting right now that's going over a little bit, but he is currently VP of Data Visualization at JP Morgan Chase. And then Stephen?
Yeah, my name is Stephen Shoemaker. I'm joined the group as part of Joey and Tim asked me to be part of the community that he was talking about. So I'm excited to be one of the leaders for the group here. Currently, I'm employed as a data scientist at WeWork. I work on the people analytics team. So most of my time is spent in that business intelligence world, primarily using Tableau as a data visualization tool, coupling that with Python and R for the data prep piece. So I try and bring that experience to you guys as well.
Very cool. Thank you, Stephen. Let me ask you, so for data transformation, do they have a tool like Alterax or Tableau Prep, or are you just primarily using R and Python?
Yeah, it's a great question. So we don't use Alteryx. We don't use Tableau Prep for data preparation. We mostly focus in the SQL world. So we use PostgreSQL for our database, and that's where we query our data. And then we use either SQL, and I mostly use, as a data scientist, use Python and R, transforming that data from just the raw data outputs into those insights and visualizations that everyone in our company loves to see.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing. Brandy, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. So hello, everyone. My name is Brandy Locker. I work at Allstate and have been using Tableau for about 3 years now. So at Allstate, I do claims reporting. And so I'm actually pretty lucky. I just get to play in Tableau all day long.
That's awesome. Yeah, thank you for jumping on and introducing yourself. Yeah, guys, so about this user group, we just want to have a laid back environment where we just talk about data, talk about Tableau, talk about Tableau prep, and most importantly, as a community, come together and collaborate and share ideas. Tableau is not just a tool, in my opinion. I think Tableau is a mindset. There's nothing better than the Tableau community where everyone comes together and shares ideas. And so that's why I really like help leading this Tableau user group. So here are the committee members. You guys feel free to, again, join our LinkedIn page, follow our Twitter handle, ntx_tug, and then follow Stephen, Tim, and Brandy on Twitter. I know that Tim and Stephen are extremely active at publishing and posting some of their side work. So definitely follow those individuals. I've never posted anything, so don't even bother searching for me. So, all right, there's no questions. Let's go ahead and proceed.
So, what to expect in 2020? When we think about this group, as Joey alluded to, we on the leadership team of the North Texas Tug, we're hoping to create an environment and really an agenda for 2021 that helps not only improve your Tableau skills, but also helps bring new ideas and perspectives about data as a whole. So throughout this year, what we're looking to do is bring a ton of exciting programs, not just in the field of Tableau tips and things like that, but also surrounding data literacy, data engineering, form, design, and delivery and soft skills. So hopefully, if you stay with us on this journey towards the end of the year, you will have learned new techniques, new ways of approaching things within Tableau, but also hopefully gain new mindsets and perspectives and ways to approach things outside of Tableau as well. And in the upcoming meetings here, we have our April meeting, so the guest is still be determined, but we are excited about our May meeting. We're actually going to be doing a combined tug with Atlanta. And Atlanta is having Françoise Agenstad, the Chief Product Officer of Tableau, speaking. And so I think there's very few opportunities that you can have to really be able to ask questions to someone from that level of Tableau. And so I think it's going to be a really great experience. And I hope you guys will join us in that combined tug. And hopefully, if you'd like to think of some questions, I could potentially ask Françoise within that meeting.
Yeah, no, this is great. We've never, I guess, been this organized, in the past couple of years. So, it's one of the main benefits of having, Stephen and Brandon join the committee is, the ideas they're bringing. So I'm very excited for this year's roadmap, and I hope you guys stick with us along the way. Yes, and April, we still don't have a guest yet. It should be a great meeting, but May, I'm really excited because not only is it going to be Atlanta, but I think Atlanta is inviting in Boston and maybe a couple of other user groups. So it should be a pretty big meeting where we get access to Francois and the community can ask him questions. So hopefully you guys can join the meeting in May. All right. So before we get to Alan and Alan's great presentation, I do want to make an announcement. Back before I did consulting, I worked for a company called TXU Energy, and which is now Vistra Energy. And one of the great things about working at Vistra is we had days of giving. And so what we would do is TXU at the time would partner with some sort of community outreach program. And we would just go away for the day and spend the day, doing some community work. In this case, we did a lot of work with the North Texas Food Bank, and basically we just went and we just took groceries and cans off of trucks, and then we went ahead and stocked shelves. And it wasn't that involved with the community, but it still felt like we were helping in one way or another. Well, unfortunately, when I got away from working for TXU, I haven't been giving back as much as I'd like to. So I was thinking, what could we do, the North Texas Tableau user group? How can we use our skill sets to really help one of these programs in the community? And I do know for a fact, there's an individual at the North Texas Food Bank, Valerie Hawthorne, who is is a member of the North Texas Tableau user group LinkedIn page. And so I reached out to her, and I know they use Tableau pretty heavily. And I was like, how could we help you guys? And she was like, you know what? You guys can help us with our data as far as cleaning it, help us with our existing dashboards, as well as help us with, executive dashboards going forward, because, they create dashboards not only for their own internal purposes, externally too, right? Bringing awareness to their cause, as well as bringing awareness to the local, like Texas legislators, right? Like what they're doing and how they're doing it. So another good thing is, in the past, we've tried to work with, it's hard to do demos with fake data. So another opportunity here is to actually work with real data, right? To work with their data, tell you the kind of business issues they're trying to solve, or business problems, business cases they're trying to solve for, helping them solve it and then presenting it here in these demos. So it's actually real life experience. So more to come on this. We are just now in the beginning stages of partnering with them, but hopefully in the near future, we can actually bring you some of those cases. So, and in case you're not aware of who the North Texas Food Bank is, they have a really nice website. I can move this out of the way. Give me 1 second. Jeez, Joey. There we go. Basically, they're here and they work with some of the about, I think, 13 or 14 counties in the North Texas area. And you can read their mission here is to close the hunger gap in our community by providing access to nutritious food. And during these challenging times, we're working hard to be there for the children, seniors, and families facing hunger. So it's a very good cause, local cause here in North Texas that we're hoping to help them with their Tableau dashboards. So. All right. If there are no questions, let's go ahead and continue.
Amazing. So coming back to the agenda, we are going to go ahead and move on to Alan's speech. And just to kind of frame the mindset or set the context for this speech, in this world, the need for data literacy is increasing rapidly. Technology continues to improve, and new and exciting ways of both analyzing and visualizing data, but also communicating data are being invented all the time. Tableau being one of the major leaders in this area, as we all know. And because of that, we must urgently find ways to bring data literacy to those we work with and those we interact with on a day-to-day basis. With that in mind, I'm thrilled to introduce to you Alan Hillery. Alan is a freelance writer who, among other projects, is involved in the data literacy advocate website, bdatalit.com, the Dubois Challenge, and the Data Literacy Advisory Board. Alan speaks on the need for data literacy, and today he'll be discussing how to accelerate data culture through empathy. I'm a huge fan of Alan because of his ability to intertwine data and how data impacts our world, as well as his ability to explain things in a way that is both informative and engaging. And honestly, I find it very approachable as well. So I hope you'll join me in welcoming Alan as our guest speaker for today.
Wow. Well, thank you, Stephen, for that introduction. Thank you, everyone, for having me. I'm coming to you guys from New York. So yes, I'm definitely excited about talking about data empathy. Just give me one moment.
Yeah, do you want me to stop sharing so you can share?
Yes.
Perfect.
Thank you, Joey.
All right. Go ahead and see if you can share your screen.
I think I can.
Perfect. We see it.
Thank you. Let me just put in presentation mode. Yes. So I do want to talk about data, accelerating our data culture through empathy, definitely wanting to kind of use a track of how that can help us build better dashboards as an example. So Stephen alluded to a lot of what I'm about to say here in this slide, but I do believe data empathy will accelerate data culture just because, it's understanding where data flows and how our organization consumes data. There are definitely a lot of tools out there. We heard Tableau, Power BI, Alteryx just now. My feeling and belief is that leading with empathy will increase data literacy and get organizations closer to data democratization. That's the sharing of data. And that with that, it just means that we can understand not only where we sit in the organization, but how we interact with others and what their roles are in the organization. And so with that, it gets us all more familiar with data. We get different insights and we'll be able to share data. And then overcoming those clashes, helps us to begin to understand each other's experiences. So I definitely want to tell you a little bit about myself. I would say for most of my career, I've been the ambassador between business teams and data teams. And with that, I had an underlying theme of always leading with empathy. That has shaped my career. And when I say that, it's pretty much just listening, a lot of times to what my clients have wanted in terms of reporting or even building dashboards or even presentations. And so I like to call myself the data whisperer. And so some other things about myself is that I'm currently a Tableau social ambassador. I curate an article series. I'm extremely passionate about data literacy and helping others get more familiar with data. I started out in my career as a civil engineer. I was doing that for about 3 years. I wanted to move more into engaging customers. So a lot of my work after that was looking at reporting systems, databases to pull out data, make reports. As I progressed in my career, I became a customer analytics manager. I was at my last role, that was at Verizon, where we looked at our customer data to understand what would be appealing in terms of additional perks for phone plans. That's one of the jobs I had there. And with that role, at a big corporate enterprise, a lot of times the language of choice is PowerPoint. And so with that, I had to combine a lot of data analysis with PowerPoint presentations. The audiences were usually decision makers, people who may not be that excited about data as we are. So with that, I had to combine more narrative with the analysis. And then that's where data storytelling came about. I also, in addition to some of the things that I'm doing currently, I do teach part-time at Columbia University how to tell stories with data. And if you're interested in following me, happy to have you follow me at AL. That's not AI, it's AL, Al Data Viz Guy on Twitter. So a lot of us, I'm assuming, have been in more analytics roles or data related roles where a lot of times we're standing up reporting structures or we're building dashboards. So in my career, I've seen there's been times where people assume that you can just build a dashboard without any communication from your organization and people are just going to flock to it. And I would like to just tell you that that approach does not work. So what I believe works is having a sense of community, having open communication. That's the most important foundation of a data team and the success. So I think some of us have heard some of these before. I had it where you can type the letter in case which one you've heard a lot, but I can't see the chat window while I'm presenting, but I figure if you guys still want to do it, it'll be fun. So a lot of times companies are not getting the full value from their data. So on the data side, you hear things like, the executives, they're oversimplifying our analysis. They don't seem to understand what we're doing. My boss expects magic. How do I get marketing to understand these numbers? And then they're also always asking me, are they real time? And then on the business side, we get we've invested about $50 million into in analytics, and there's still no results that I can use. I can't do anything with this data, or why is this report taking so long? So I feel a lot of that has to do with basically a lot of times data teams, they're expected to know the business context, and a lot of people come into that side of the company not knowing it, or not really looking to know it. They have a skill prowess, and they don't necessarily have the business context. And at the same time, business teams, they're not data informed. They're not necessarily always educated on the capabilities of what their data can do, or what data they even have in their organization. So this silos causes a lot of gaps, and the gaps causes a lot of roadblocks, and we've all been there. So data communities give everyone a space to collaborate on complex business challenges. I think that we are in a time right now where we all have to just roll our sleeves up and be all hands on deck in terms of solving the challenges of our business. I think COVID has definitely added an extra flavor to that. But even before that, there's just so much data that's out there. And I think I read a study that most companies are only tapping into 8%, either 8 to 12% of their available data. So the path to data democratization is empathy. And, going back to that original slide, I mean, not the original, but the couple of slides previously, we want to kind of break those silos. We want data teams to have more context around their business context around the data. We want business teams to understand what data is out there. So empathy is one way of creating that bridge. Empathy, as I have defined here, is the ability to see a situation from someone else's frame of reference. And when you want to apply it to data empathy is a willingness and dedication to deeply understand how people use, interpret, and share data. And this is just a fun comic about the stages of how data enters an organization usually. So there's this huge data warehouse that's pulling in all this data. And then you have a platform that's giving, when the data is out for people to do their analytics, people are analyzing now from their laptops. You have a tool like Tableau or Alterax. And then you create these visualizations. And then some of us, maybe most of us, has this issue where you're about to present your data and your whole audience is just full of question marks. They're trying to figure out like, what is this person talking about? So that's why as you build a data culture, or you're going through a data project, it's crucial to understand how members feel about the data process. So a high level checklist or recommendations that I have here is you start with a vision. You want to understand where your organization would like to go with data, or where you're currently at, so you do know where to go. You want to begin to build a roadmap so you can have your overarching strategy, or you can even drill down and just talk about what type of reporting that you want to have. Then next, you want to create priorities and personas. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. But that's pretty much helping you understand like the cadence that you want to set for educating the organization. Also just understanding the roles that people will play. And then communication. That's when you begin to understand how often you would like to meet, what you want to discuss when you're meeting. And then you decide that you're going to execute on some things, and then you want to reiterate. So this process that's listed out here is kind of loosely based on an agile process where you're definitely coming together, you're meeting, you're executing, and then if something is not in the right direction, you're pivoting or you're reiterating. And so I also have some items here about how you can become more empathetic at work. So the whole idea of bridging a gap, breaking silos, is you want to begin to expose team members to talents that they don't have. So you can be someone who's in a more of an analytics group. And I know a lot of times for me, we were always anchored to a business unit within the organization. So a lot of times I was either supporting product managers or marketing managers on, customer feedback. So a lot of times, these managers want to understand what their customers think about their products so they can better design for them. So in that process, you could begin to understand what talents each other person in your organization may have. Another way to do it, if you are curious about something, because sometimes you may be tasked, like for example, you may be someone who is doing a lot of Tableau work, but you found out that you'd like to learn a little bit more about R or Figma or any other thing. So you can explore curiosity through an introductory course. As far as communication and understanding a little bit more about your projects, you can attend weekly stand-ups or project meetings. I know a lot of us already have meetings and the last thing we want is another one, but if there's a project that you're interested in and there's a weekly stand-up where it kind of brings in more disciplines than just your initial, I'm building this dashboard, but you maybe want to go to a project meeting to kind of see what the goal of this dashboard is. So those are good ways also to interact with different people, maybe out of your bubble or your world. Another thing is you can create a glossary of terms so you can speak each other's language. I know there used to be a thing called wikis back in the day. I don't know if those things are still a thing, but there's other ways to build out glossaries. And then the other thing is to create engagement meetings where your stakeholders can exchange questions and begin to bridge those gaps. So here to the right, that's a picture of a meeting that someone recommended. A lot of times when you go into these engagement meetings that you bring these jars and then you have these sticky notes, and every time a question comes up, you would add a sticky note to that jar. And then the task of the analytics team is to go back and to start answering those sticky notes. And then when they come back, they can show how many of those sticky notes that they were able to empty out of those jars. So that's another way to kind of give you a visual encouragement as you're engaging. So let's put a little bit of this into practice. So we're gonna kind of walk through developing a talent matrix, covering some of the items that we listed earlier as far as our vision, building out a roadmap, setting those priorities, and personas. So before we get into that, I just want you to think about some of these questions to ask yourself. Ask yourself, how much do you know about your company's business? I mean, a lot of us, we're doing the analytics or we're doing the reporting, but do we really know about what our company does, what our company's goals are? Next one is, how often does your organization engage cross-functionally? Like in your organization, are you sitting pretty much, if you're in the analytics team, for example, are you only engaging fellow analytics colleagues? Are you engaging anyone else outside of your initial department? So how would you describe your company's data culture? That's another key question. Is it a collaborative one? Is it one where you have many organizations within your organization and each organization owns that particular data? There's no cross sharing. And the last one is, what role do you see yourself as in the organization? So we're going to use an example to kind of walk us through some of this. There's this fictitious company called Mocha. They're a coffee delivery company that gives local coffee houses a specialized technology, a platform where they're able to look at data insights and share services. So these are something that's definitely helpful to small businesses that are not a big conglomerate like, I don't know, Dunkin' Donuts or Starbucks. So Mocha has set a goal of wanting to sign up more shops in their San Francisco Bay Area. They're looking to develop an acquisition strategy to grow that customer base, and key leaders and stakeholders have decided to get together with the analytics team to shortlist prospective coffee houses to target. So Mocha's analytics and business teams collaborate to come up with solutions. So this is something where, the analytics team is not building something and assume everyone's just going to like it. They're actually engaging the people who are going to use the dashboard. And they've been working to track prospective coffee house locations, as well as their distance from their current customers. So they want to base their strategy off the distance of current customers. And this is where we get to those personas and talents. So most organizations can be broken down into the above talents. So you pretty much have your subject matter expert. They're like what I like to call the captain of these type of teams, because they have the goals and they also know their business, where they can educate everyone else. You have your storyteller. So your storyteller is going to be your translator. And when I say translator, that's the person who primarily is going to be taking this data narrative and making sure that it can be understood by a less technical audience or decision makers. So you have your data wrangler. I like to call those chefs. They like to slice and dice data. They're the ones who usually are doing the ETL, also extracting data from the data warehouse or the database, and also, standing up the data. Then you have your project manager. They're usually your ambassadors. They're keeping everyone on track, on pace. And then you have your designers who tend to be your visual communicators. So those are the ones who are making the aesthetics. They're also from either for your PowerPoint slides, even sometimes your dashboards. They're giving that expertise into that role. And then data analysts. So data analysts, I tend to like to describe them more as critical thinkers. A lot of times in organizations, you have data analysts who are actually data wranglers who've been asked to do critical thinking, and that may not necessarily be something that they were signed up for. And pulling out those stories, making sure that they are hitting goals or hitting things that the audience is going to want. You have the storyteller there, but you have the analyst sometimes who is looking in that data, trying to understand those trends. So Mocha has a unique and innovative data engagement strategy. So this one is based off of collaboration, and the teams are loosely defined, or they can be solidly defined, very rigid. But either way, they're focused on their individual talents versus their roles. And when I say that, people can be from different areas of the organization and end up playing these type of roles. Someone can be in a strategy team and they can actually have project management skills, or someone can be in marketing and they're a storyteller. They're taking on that type of role. So this is where the collaborative process begins. This is where now everyone's in a room and they get to see what everyone does. They also begin to understand the questions they're asking. So what coffee house makes a good prospect? That's something that a data analyst may not know. They know how to pull the data, but they may not know the qualities that is going to prove to be a successful customer or client for Mocha. Where in the same time, people in the business, they know that they would like to track prospects within a 10-mile radius from a customer, but they may not know if that's even possible. Like maybe we don't have those data points that's telling us coordinates or telling us, okay, we have a current customer. How do we calculate for prospects 10 miles in a 10-mile radius? So getting everyone together here begins to help people understand what's needed in the dashboard. So you may want to have like a neighborhood map, and then you want to make sure you have coordinate data. And how do we calculate, people from a 10-mile radius? What if we want to expand it to 15 or 20? So this is where you begin to understand how to design for those capabilities. And also another great benefit is that team members begin to see what part they play in the big picture. So I can now understand as a data analyst what, the VP of marketing is looking for, what the salesperson is looking for. Like, okay, and also I can begin to understand what makes a successful coffee house, in my organization. So let's revisit. We have business versus data roles. We want understanding each other's experiences and just using the Tableau data culture element as a guide, as you lead with data empathy, you begin to create trust, because as you begin to work together, you can understand what a person's capabilities are, what they're looking for, and it'll also just begin to make things move quicker in terms of requests and answers that you may need, because you've just you understand what role that person plays. And it also begins to strengthen your data commitment, because as more people become familiar with the data, it allows everyone to get stronger with it, because someone who's on the data side now has more business contacts, and someone on the business side understands what data may be available, what the capabilities are. It begins to expand everyone's talent. You may decide that you want to take that Python class, or you may want to take how to make better presentations after working on a project that has broken down silos. And then it encourages sharing. As we begin to trust more people, we are more privy to share. And we also have confidence that people won't take the data and do crazy things, in theory, as we begin to collaborate with people. And then it changes our mindset, begin to broaden our mindset, understand what we can do with our business, or what our data can do for us in our business. So that is some of those elements. And then I think I'm rounding up here. So that's to kind of summarize, exposing team members to each other's talents. It increases productivity. It definitely encourages data literacy as we all become more familiar with data. It improves our data governance, and it broadens our business context. And that's all I have.
Awesome. That was great, Alan. Thank you so much for taking the time to share that with us. At WeWork, I guess I'm both blessed and cursed that I am always having to think cross-functionally. As the people analytics team, we don't just support the people team. We have questions coming from marketing, from sales, from all different departments, wondering what's going on with their people. And some of those pitfalls and opportunities that you presented are things that I deal with, and this is really helpful for thinking through how do I best approach the way I interact with these individuals, and how do I also find ways to put myself out of just the analytics hat and putting myself in the analytics person's shoes and think about how I can think from their perspective and engage with these people in different departments in ways that I have not been doing. So thank you for that. I want to open it up to the group here. Are there any questions for Alan? If so, please go ahead and post it in the chat. Give it 1 second. Going, gone. All right. Thank you so much, Alan, for taking the time to present to our group. I'm sure people have walking away with a lot to think about today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right, Alan, thank you very much for taking the time to present. It was very, very knowledgeable. So thank you. If you guys don't have a question right now, just please feel free to throw it in the chat, and we'll get to it towards the end of the meeting.
Perfect.
Okay. All right. So next, I think that, well, I know that we have the Tableau tip of the month. So, every meeting, we're going to attempt to have a presenter, as well as, I need to share my screen. As well as, we hope you guys, learn something new every meeting. And generally what we'll like to do is, if there's a new version of Tableau out, we'll talk about the new capabilities and the new functionality. If there's not in this case, what we can do is always talk about, some tips and tricks. So this month, because I think it's been probably 3 or 4 months since I've actually presented anything in one of our user groups, I'm taking a shot today to provide you guys with a few tips. And since we lost one of our presenters today, we do have probably about 30 minutes. Hopefully it'll only take up about 15 or 20. But, towards the end, we can open it up to the rest of the group, and maybe you guys could tell us about some of the tips that you guys want to share with us. So very laid back part of the presentation. So please feel free to either jump in or just put something in the chat there that if you have a question we can get to. So every time I present, of course, I go out and I Google Tableau tips. In this case, it took me to a blog that Mark Bradbourne wrote. So real quick about Mark. Mark is a national now. He's a national solution engineer for Tableau. Not exactly sure what exactly they do, but I can only imagine they work with bigger clients to help them with their data and their data visualization needs. I'm assuming by presenting a lot of demos, right? So in this case, he's got a blog here that you can find on tableau.com. You just search his name, Mark Bradbourne. And here he's got a blog that he's calling Best of the Tableau Web. And I think we all can sort of, you know, I'm sure we all feel the same way, that there's so much material out there, right? You've got individuals like Steven and Tim and Brandy publishing stuff, posting stuff via Twitter, via LinkedIn. You've got, you know, all our Zen masters presenting or putting content out there. And I think what Brad's done here is what he's starting to do, or what he's bringing back, because I think this is something, I guess, they were doing earlier in 2012, but he's trying to consolidate the things that he notices, right? The individuals he follows, and bringing it all into one place, right? So that individuals can go and say, okay, these are cool tips or techniques or new functionality or something like what Alan just presented, right? Mindsets, leaders in data visualization that are creating all this content. He's putting it all in one place for you to go check out. So I was reading through this article. Please take some time to go find it, and it's very helpful. Also, he's a good follow on Twitter. He's got a lot of good content out there. Just at Mark Bradbourne here. Here's his Twitter feed. And so getting back to the actual presentation, he's got a section here, tips and tricks, 6 articles. Hey, go check out Sean Miller. 5 tips for corporate dashboards. Ken Fleurlange, 10 obscure Tableau tips. Rosario, how to build a control chart. Alan Murray, simple custom date picker. Annabelle Rincon, and then Rajiv Pandey. Those are tips and tricks. And then formatting here, Ethan Lang, inspiration, data culture. So yeah, he's got some really good content here. So if you have some time, go to tableau.com and just search for Mark Bradbourne. He's got this article, this blog out there. I didn't see, I don't know if he's trying to do this monthly. I think Tim reached out to him. I don't think we've heard back yet. But this was his blog covering January 2021. Hopefully he's got something covering February and March, because I do find this very helpful. So I went through the tips and tricks, and what I settled on was this system custom date picker. And I'll walk you through why in a second. But basically what he's doing here is he's showing you how to create a custom calendar, right? So you have one view that's a custom calendar, and then how you use that custom calendar to then allow it to be a date picker to where it filters everything on your dashboard. So I went through the actual blog and I tried to recreate it. I stopped halfway through for the fact that me personally would never use a calendar for this functionality in this way, but I do like the calendars. So we also have at American Airlines, we have a internal tug, and we had one of our solutions engineer present a calendar. And I used to use them in the past and I got away from them, but I do like them for a couple of reasons. One, and I'll show you in a second. One, I think if you're creating reports for KPIs, I think it's an easy way, and your KPIs are measured daily, right? I think it's a very easy way to show, hey, on, you know, March 18th or March 17th, which is yesterday, which was a Wednesday. In some cases, individuals don't care about weekday aviation business. They do like looking at things, what happened on a Wednesday versus a Thursday versus a Friday. So I do think it's a very easy visualization, very easy way for the individual to say, okay, on Wednesday on the 17th, we did not meet our KPIs, or we met our KPIs, and then click on that day and actually then filter the rest of the dashboard to see exactly what happened on that day. So he talks about how to create a custom date picker using a calendar. I'm going to deviate from that and just show you how to create a calendar. It's very, very simple. It's only like 3 or 4 drag and drops. And then all you have to do is take some time then to make it look pretty. But how it just a really easy visualization that gives an individual, gives your end user the ability to see what happened on a particular day for a given month, and then click on that to then filter the rest of the dashboard. If there's no questions, we will proceed. Again, so here is Alan's Twitter handle. If you want to follow Alan, at Alan Murray _TTB. Again, go back to Mark at Mark Bradbourne. And I don't think he knows yet that I'm presenting this, but I hope he's happy because he does really good work. Okay. So this is what the end result's going to look like. Very simple calendar over here. Again, the reason I like it is because I can look on a particular day. This is for, let's go ahead and go to February. For instance, in February, I can see that my worst day, we're looking at sales here, my worst day for sales was going to be on this Thursday, which looks like it's February 18th. And then I can click on it. And what it's going to do is filter the rest of my views here so that I can actually see what happened on that date. So real quick, how to create that. Fairly simple. Let me move this. Okay. So real quick, I have a small Snowflake environment, and Snowflake has some really cool data sets, dummy data that you can go in and you can use. In this case, it's a Snowflake web sales dummy data set. It's about 4 million records. But basically I use this for a lot of my demos. So in here, so one thing here is I've got a lot of dimensions and I've got a lot of measures. Please use the search functionality up here. Anytime I'm working with people, I see them doing this all the time. I'm like, hey, just come up here and just type in something. So I've got date, in this case, order date demo, and I'm going to drag it to columns. And I'm going to go ahead and do a discrete. And if you go to more, you've got weekday. What that's going to do is bring up Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, the days of the week. If for some reason, like an American, they like reporting from Friday to Thursday, you can come in here and you can change your default properties. Let's see. Where did I do that? Sorry, guys. Live demo, fun. I think I actually have to come here. Go to date properties. So right click on the data source, date properties, and then you can say, hey, my week start is going to be on a Friday. Right. And what that's going to do is your week's going to start as a Friday. In this case, I don't need to do that, but if you needed to, remember, just go to the data source, right click, and go to the data source date properties. Sorry, I had a brain freeze there for a second. I never want to show that label there. So I never liked showing the full label here as far as, for the weekday. So if you just go ahead and format it, remember this is your header. So I can come in here and I'll just do abbreviation. And I want to go ahead and center that so it's nice and center here. Okay. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to hold down Control. I'm going to drag this down to rows. And instead of showing the actual weekday there, I'm going to do a discrete week number. And basically what it's showing is every week in my data set and the weekdays across the top. Okay. Now I just want to do this for, in this case, I just want to do it for either the last 30 days or I want to do it for a given month. This example, we're just going to do for a given month. So I'm going to go back here, type in date, just drag it to filters. I'm going to use the month year. And let's go ahead and just select February 2021. And there you go. Now I don't want to show this. I can go ahead and hide it. So I'll click off show header. And I do want this to be, for this example, left aligned. All right. Now, another reason why I like this calendar view is because I can add the day of the month to it. And then I can also add a label as far as, like in this case, what was our profit like for a given day. So let's go ahead and start doing that. So in order to get the actual day on there, let's do this. Let's go back to date and let's drag it to text. And then what I'll do is I'll use day and I'll come in and format it. I like deleting zeros here for my 1-digit days. So we'll leave that at 01, come in here. And then the rest is just formatting. It's fairly simple. So now I can see for my given month here.
Joey, someone asked what was the fancy keystroke you used to expand the cells?
Oh man, you guys, this is a lifesaver. Hold down Control and you just use your up arrow and your down arrow and your left or right. It's a lifesaver.
That's mind-blowing tip right there. That just changed. Saved a lot of time, I think. You got 2 tips of the day. There you go.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, it's one of the first things I really learned, and yeah, it's a lifesaver. So yeah, hold down Control and use your arrows on your keypad. All right, so now I got the label, so I know that for February. Now I can come in here and I can see I can add my actual filter. So I know what month I'm looking at. Right, February 2021. I generally, I don't use bigger fonts for my headers here. You know, it's whatever you guys prefer. I think in this case, I'll do this and I'll label it. In this case, it's profit. I know I have sales, but I know it should be profit. Maybe do that. And I like to do like a Tableau medium here because I like the first portion to be a little bit bigger of a font, bolder of a font. And then you end up with something like this. So let's make this 12. Let's make this 10, which I think it is. Sometimes Tableau Lite doesn't show up very well on a Tableau server. So maybe I'll just use, Tableau Book. Who knows? I got this workbook from Tim, so he must have some global settings in there. But basically, that's his, that gets us started with our calendar. I think next what I'd like to do in this case, since we're using profit, make sure you use the search functionality. I can drag that to text as well. And then, you can come in here and format it. I'm not going to mess with it too much, but basically that gets you started. And then in this case, I can also hold down Control, click here and drag it to color. Now that's going to color my text, but if I wanted to color the whole square here, real simple, just go to square. That's it. So basically, there's more formatting you probably want to do here. I think in this case, I'll right click and then let's go ahead and add some row dividers. That'll get us that going. And add a column divider. That basically gets you some, you can actually, it actually looks like a calendar now. The one thing I don't know the global settings it has in this workbook, but I don't like the blue on blue there. So what I'll probably do in this case is just come in here, just change everything to 8, and we'll just use white. Then maybe if I want to make this a little bit more of a bold, I'll use Tableau medium. That's fairly simple. I think we did that in less than 10 minutes, created a calendar. And again, I don't know how you guys feel about it, but I think it's a real easy way to show your end user how you performed on a particular weekday in a given month. And again, you can come up here and maybe you want to mess with your color scheme here. I want to use the full color range maybe. So I can really see that, hey, on this day, we really underperformed. Make sure you come in here and work on your tool tips. Let's do that.
Joey, with this this kind of tip, it only works if there is the granularity of like every day, or can it work with any other kind of reporting structure?
That is a great point. If I don't have data for a given day, it will leave it blank like down here.
Gotcha.
That is a great, I'm glad you brought that up. That's another reason why I use this data set, because if we were to use this one, if you were to recreate it using Superstore, well, anyways, order date here, but if you were to use Superstore, you would probably have a few dates in there that are blank, right? Yes. I haven't solved for it how to fill in those nulls unless you, I guess you could do a left join or an inner join with a calendar that provides all those dates. So it would have the date there, just no actual metric. There's ways to fix that. I guess they call it data densification. I'm not sure if that's the right term for it, but
yeah, I think probably the way they approach it would be, as you said, is joining the database with like doing a left join on something that has every single day, and then it would leave those nulls as blank. I mean, once someone in our chat said data scaffolding.
Data scaffolding, all right.
Yeah, there you go.
Perfect.
See, they know more than we do. That's for sure.
They do. Absolutely. So yeah, so I can just throw that on my dashboard here. And again, this filter needs to apply to all the views on here. But basically, and I have future dates in here just because this is dummy data set. But I can come in here and look at November. I can say, hey, I don't know why it's all orange here, but you know, I can see that my best date here was Sunday the 15th. And I can click here and I can actually start to see, you know, looks like Wyoming did pretty well, Texas did pretty well, didn't do so well in Arizona, Florida. And then I can actually take a little look here and see that Florida underperformed on this date due to jewelry.
Interesting. So Margaret asked if this copy of the sample workbook, if they can get a sample of the workbook that you're using. This should be shared with the agenda workbook. Is that right? Does it contain?
That is right. So if you go to, and I think you guys put the links to our Tableau public profile in the chat, I think.
No, we haven't, but we can throw that in there.
Yeah. So if you just go to gallery and you look up, you know, North Texas Tableau user group, we'll do a better job. I don't know where all our workbooks are, but we've got a workbook out here that will have, now be careful downloading this. One thing I just realized is that this data set does have 4 million records. So it's a little bit larger than it probably should be. So just FYI, when you download it, if you do download it, it's going to be a little bit bigger. Yeah, but you can come in here and the workbook itself towards the end.
Thanks, Brandy. Brandy just put the link in the chat.
Awesome.
Cool. And Alan is going to be sharing the presentation with us as well. So if anyone was curious about that we can also include that in an email.
Perfect. All right. So I know that we have some extra time here, so we can do one of two things. We can work on another tip, right? That has to do with set action, or we can open it up to the community and you guys can just ask questions to us or just ask questions in general. And as a community, we can try to answer them the best, the best way we can. It's totally up to you guys.
So in the chat says, please talk about set actions.
Okay. So I use set actions. I never really use sets, but I really like set actions. So I try to use set actions as much as possible. And the reason being is because in any corporation, typically what they want to do is I want to compare one category versus all other categories, or I want to compare one category and look to see how it performed. You know, if I have like a trend chart over here, if I highlight or lasso this date range, I want to know how this date range for these categories worked or performed versus this date range. So anything I do here would be in my set, everything else would be out, and it would break it up and say, okay, books performed for whatever I selected performed this way versus whatever I didn't select, right? So in the past, what we've had to do was use parameters, use some sort of reference date, use parameters, have multiple calculations. We used to do it at American Airlines about 4 years ago, and it was a pain in the butt. The set actions now, it's just one click, and they can easily say, I want to view this fleet versus all these other fleets, how they perform in this period, or how this station DFW performed to all these other stations, right? So set actions say, hey, whatever I have in one set, I want to compare to whatever is in the other set, and it's real simple way to compare whatever you're trying to compare, right? So let's jump back to the workbook. So in this case, what I wanted to do was give the individual the ability to drill down, right? Because I have books as a category, but then I have a subcategory within books, right? So you could do this with the hierarchy, but then if I click down on, if you use a hierarchy, there's a plus button, you click down on it, it'll open it up for everything, right? I don't want to do that. Basically, I just want to say, hey, if I select books, I want to see my subcategories just for books. I don't want to look at any other category. And then if I click on, let's say art, I can then filter the rest of the dashboard, right? If I click off of it, everything shows up. Hey, for men, sports apparel here, only 516,000.
We had a question. Say, considering performance, is it faster to populate data by using set action rather than parameter?
That's a great question. I do not have that answer.
I wish Tableau gave us a little timer, at least with some of these the ways of doing it, so that you could do these kind of tests. It's a little bit difficult to say. So I don't know the answer to that one either. Maybe someone in our group knows.
Yeah, I mean, you could try to maybe do performance recording, but yeah, that's a great question. I use set actions quite often, and I haven't really seen, and I use parameters all the time too. So I can't really tell you which ones performs, better than the other. But yeah, if somebody has, data to support, one side, then please share it. Absolutely. So basically, I can walk you through real quick how to create a set action, or create the set and then use set action. So in this case, basically what I did here was, we'll give you a few different ways to do it. So I just want to look at 1 month here. So let's go back and we will look at February 2021. Okay. And I have category here. And then I have subcategory. Oops, maybe I don't have some. Oh, I have a class, right? Which is basically the subcategory. I want to get rid of these nulls. I don't want any nulls in here. All right. So then I have my profit. The great thing about Tableau is in a minute, you can create something like this that at least gives you the ability to quickly understand for February 2021, what was good and what was bad. Very, very bad. Look at Archery here. It's awful. Let's show this. All right. Yeah, someone's gonna get in trouble here. They need to go look see what's going on with Archery. What I wanted to do was, instead of showing all the classes, I wanted to give the user the ability to just click on jewelry and then show the class just for jewelry, right? So the first thing we're going to want to do is go to category, and you can see I already did it, but I'll go ahead and do it again. I just right click and I do create set, and then make sure to label it. Yeah, that's perfect label right there, category set 2. And depending on, you'll have to experiment with it, but depending on what you want to do with the set action, right? There's, you can click on it, assign it, you can click on it, remove it. There's all different ways you could use a set action. In this case, what I want to do is just initially, I want to leave this all blank, because that means everything's going to be out of my set, because when I actually select a category, I want that to be in my set. And then when it's in my set, I want to then show the class. All right, so I'm not going to select anything here, and I'm going to click OK. And just so that we can see what's in and what's out, I'll drag this up here, and you can see everything is out of my set. All right. So another thing about Tableau is you can do a set action on a dashboard. You can also do a set action on a worksheet. So let's go ahead and change my set here. Actually, create a set, sorry. And we'll just call it set action test. And you guys bear with me, because I will do my best to get this right. So basically, right, remember, everything's out of my set. So when I click on it, it's going to assign values to the set I created. When I clear it, when I click off of whatever I selected, I want to remove everything, because I want to then take everything out of it, right? So if I click on it, I want to assign it. If I click off of it, I want to remove everything. So we'll do this, right? And now if I click on jewelry, you can see that everything under jewelry is in, everything else is out. All right, so let's go ahead and get rid of class, because remember, if it's in my set, I want my class to show up. So let's get rid of that. And another great thing I like about sets is it's really easy. It's really easy to create calculations using sets, right? Because set is either going to be in or out. I'll show you real quick how to create a calculation that says if it's in my set, show the class. If it's out, just be blank. So we're going to call this class show. I don't know. And then I know people do if, then if you've got one, if you only have a calculation that has 2 results, right? If it's this, then this, else this. Just do it, the if, right? Which is this one. Boom, right? You only have 2 possible outcomes. If my category set, right? I don't have to put equals in or anything. If it's true, which in is true, out is false, then what I want to do is I want to show my class, right? Else, don't do null, because it'll show up as null. I just want it to be blank. All right. Now, one thing I don't like, and there's ways around it with more complicated fixed calculations. One thing I don't like is what the example I'm showing you here is that it has this big blank space. Don't like it, but for the sake of this demo, we'll just leave it. Another thing I don't like are these lines here, so we're going to get rid of the dividers. Typically, I don't use dividers when I show bar charts, especially horizontal. I don't like showing grid lines either. I'll go in and get rid of these. I do like showing the axis rulers though. I was on columns, sorry guys. Let's do that.
Someone in the group said the level of detail fix would be on the category level.
I can show you what I did.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'll show you. I don't know if it's just a calculation I figured out a while ago for multiple, using a fixed calculation for multiple reasons, but I'll show you real quick. So basically now, remember our calculation, if it's in the set, show it. If it's not, don't show it. So now I should be able to click there, and what it's going to do is just show what's in it versus out. So if I drag this off, right, now it shows infants, newborn, school uniforms. I can drill down. So this, when people talk about set actions with drill down capabilities, this is what they're referring to. Now,
very cool.
Now, going back to this example, notice something here. When I click on children, all the other categories disappear. So using a couple of fixed calculations, now I'm saying if they select one category, just show that category and its subclasses. Get rid of all the other categories. And I'll show you that real quick, hopefully real quick. So look at these two calculations I created. I'm not sure why that's showing up as one. Let's do this. Oh, it's because I have it selected. Get off there. Uh-oh, broke it. Sorry, guys. Give me one second. What did I do? Well, I'll have to go back and figure out what I did. But, oh, maybe because it's cleared on here, that's why. Okay, I should fix it. All right, so basically I created two fixed calculations, right? Count one and count two. So use your search functionality. Count one is saying, I want to count the number of categories, there's 10. I want to count the number of categories fixed across my whole data set. All right. And what I should probably do is add this to context, because now it's just counting how many categories I have for this given month I have selected. I have 10. Okay. Then I create a second. So we'll go back. Category. Just dragged it. Count distinct. Fixed. Right now, it's, if I don't add this to context, it's going to say my whole data set, which is 4 million records. If I add this to context, if you're familiar with the order of filter operation for filters, add to context is going to be on top of this fixed calculation. So now it's saying, basically it's the same as if I was to drag this here, right? Basically it's just saying, for the given month of February, count my categories, I have 10, okay? Now my second one is going to then say, all right, for my set, which in this case is not the same set as category, is set 2, it's set, the original one I created, the original set I created. For that set, remember everything is starting out of the set, okay? So whatever's out, I want you to count how many categories are out of the set. In this case, remember everything's out by default. So now I have 10 across for February. I have 10 that are in my out group, okay? Those two calculations are key. And I do this a lot, not just for this example, but also for when I'm using goals and all sorts of stuff, but don't want to confuse you all. So we'll go back to class and set. So my original example, let me go back, sorry guys. Category shown, that's what it's called. So let's do this. Let's go back. Okay. So category shown basically says if my 10 here for my whole month equals the 10 in my set, then show the category, which is here. If not, show the class and set. All right. So I know I'm doing a lot of skipping around. Let's go back and show this with the original example. I got 10, 10, because remember everything's out. Once I select children, I don't have the set action set up here. Give me 1 second. Action. All right. So I've got children here, right? I've got 10 categories in the month. Now I only have one category in my selection, my set. So now that they don't equal, it will do the category shown. All right. So it's basically how you do that. There's this set action set up a little different. I think I had this one, add value, assign add all values to set. I think is that how that works? Can't remember exactly. I'll have to go back. Let's see how I had it set up over here. Get rid of this. Assign add all values. Yeah, something like that. But basically, if you set it up correctly, and I broke it, of course. Let me change this. Oh, drag that to filters. There we go. That's key. So now it doesn't show the other categories if I don't select it. Basically what it is. Cool.
Very cool.
Any questions?
Nothing in the chat, just people saying wow and awesome. Someone did say, so clicking on an item triggers the set action. So I guess.
Yes, yes, yes. And the key is you have to have the set. Well, in this case, you don't have to have the set here really, but basically you're just creating the set. And then whatever you base it off of, having it up here in the rows or somewhere on the marks card detail or on the rows here or columns. And then just actually coming up here and creating that. Like I said, this takes some practice, right? And some experimentation. So just take some time to start clicking on everything and seeing what it does.
Very cool. Appreciate it, Joey. It's a great tip. And yeah, we only have about 5 more minutes left.
Yeah, guys. So thank you for joining us today. I do think next month, hopefully, Brandon and Stephen will be leading next month, so you guys don't have to listen to me talk as much. But want to thank Alan for presenting, and thank you. And then we'll figure out how to get his content to you guys so that you guys can take a look at it after the meeting. And then Stephen and Brandy, I don't know if you guys want to say anything.
I just want to say thanks, guys. These meetings it's not easy always to find time in the day to join these meetings, but I think that we're excited to have you here, and that we're all on our own personal journey when it comes to developing our skills in Tableau and our skills as data analysts, and really people who are just excited about data in general. So appreciate you guys being here with us every month, and hope to see you guys next month as well.
All right. Thanks, guys. Talk to you guys next month.
Yeah. See you guys.
Thanks,
Thank
everyone.
you.